I would like to welcome you here, and I would like to start out now by the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Moment of silence for those who have come before us. Thank you. All right. Going to commence our meeting at the town hall. There are 3 emergency exits, one directly behind us, one to our left, and one to our right. If you should use that, please silence all cell phones through the meeting. We appreciate that. If you have difficulty hearing at all, please let us know. We'll try to adjust the volume so that we can have everybody hear this. And thank you for everybody who is watching at home on YouTube tonight. All right, we're going to move directly into the hiring of police officers who are represented well here today. So we're going to go one by one. I would like to make a motion to adopt the resolution to hire of Arafat M. Elishiga as full-time recruit police officer at a starting pay rate of $61,130 per year, effective July 22nd, 2026, budget code 002-3120. 0100-000. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Board comments for this hire? Okay. Closing discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstentions. The motion is adopted. Move to adopt the resolution to hire Toriana M. Scott as full-time recruit police officer at a starting pay rate of $61,130 per year, effective July 24th, 2026. Budget code 002-3120-0100-000. Do I have a second?
Second.
Board comments, please. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, abstentions, motion is adopted. Move to adopt the resolution to hire Alexandria J. Lyles as full-time recruit police officer at a starting pay rate of $61,130 per year, effective July 23rd, 2026. Budget code 002-3120-0100-000. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any board comments or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion is adopted. Move to adopt the resolution to hire of Stephen J. Amiot as part-time police officer at a starting pay rate of $39.51 per hour, effective July 22nd, 2026. Budget code 002-3120-0105-000.
Second.
Any board comments or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion is adopted. Move to adopt the resolution to hire of Jesse M. Miller as part-time police officer at a starting pay rate of $37.64 per hour, effective July 22nd, 2026. Budget code 002-3120-0105-000.
Second.
Board discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, the motion is adopted. Welcome aboard to all of our new officers and returning officers.
And who's gonna hand your badges here? I know I'm gonna give you yours so you can stand like right here. You can jump in. Who's gonna? You just for your son. Who's gonna go stand next to your dad? Ben here. Maurice. You gonna be your dad? And you're gonna. A little backstory about Steve Anios, if I got time. He just retired from us a couple months ago as a police lieutenant, and he missed us so much, he decided to come back and part-time police officer. He's going back to his original badge he was issued like 20 years ago. We're gonna have you stand right here and we'll have your mom over here for you.
Okay, thank you.
And your mom, you got some? Oh. All right, if my police officers could raise your right hand. And you're gonna repeat after me. I state your name, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, all the laws of New York State and the town of Cicero, and the rules and regulations of the town of Cicero Police Department. I will faithfully discharge the duties of police officer for the town of Cicero Police Department according to the best of my ability and with the highest level of integrity. You just have the recruits stay up front with us if you could with your badges. Jesse Miller is actually not a recruit police officer. He's coming to us from New Jersey, from Ocean City, town of Franklin. And just coming out part-time so we can get him certified in New York State for 225 hours. And then we'll be switching over to full-time. You guys all there? Good? Yep. Folks, we're gonna go outside for photographs, if that works for everybody. All right, clear out. Thank you so much. Congratulations. That's the item. Welcome back. Keep on it. You can keep on it, he's never tried. Yeah, I get how that works. You put fire and then you do another shot. Yeah.
All right, I think we have everybody out there ready to take their picture, so we'll get into the rest of our meeting. Supervisors' comments, don't have an awful lot. Like to thank everybody for coming tonight. We've got a pretty jam-packed agenda. I would like to just take a moment to thank all the fine, people who were involved in calming that fire down on Griffin the other day. It was a pretty pretty horrific and hot fire that burned very quickly. And from the people that I talked to around the neighborhood the next day were telling me that they were just so impressed with the speed and professionalism with all the units that responded. And I just want to convey that to all of you, and thank you so much. All right, that's all I have on comments at this point. I would like to invite anybody to speak on items of the agenda. Keep in mind, we have 2 public hearings tonight, and we will take those as we go. But is there anything else on the agenda that someone would like to address? Please state your name and address.
I pushed the button. I'm Mike Boyle, Hebrides Trail. I'm a subject matter expert when it comes to data centers, software as a service. I spent 30 years of my life traveling around the world to 63 countries, dealing with multinational organizations that use data centers. I saw the public meeting notice and the public hearing information. I didn't know if the town has a definition of what a large data center is. That's number one. I don't know if you want to answer that.
It's in the law, local law itself, which we'll read.
Okay, because Kathy Hochul this weekend said that they want to negotiate on behalf of the towns because we're not sophisticated enough to deal with data centers. So I'll just put it out there. After 30 years of doing this across all these passports and everything else, I'm more than willing for free to come in and advise the board. 2 hours, you'll know more about data centers and software as a technology. That needs to be defined as what the data center size is, because if somebody locally, Anheuser-Busch is a perfect example, or PepsiCo, they have their data center here. If they want to expand the data center, they track billions of lines of detail locally. If they want to expand the data center as part of their expansion, you have to define what it is, because does that expansion fall under the moratorium? That's what I want to bring up. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anybody else who would like to comment on the agenda for tonight? Please come up, state your name and address.
Hi, I'm Debbie Hammond, and I am a neighbor to the park, Williams Park, with the new splash pad. I know we've had issues from the beginning, and I know things have changed with the police officers there. It definitely has helped. But the issue we have is on our side. We are on the east side, and the fence went up on the west side and along the road. And originally, I had spoken to somebody else in the town about getting a fence up. They put the other 2 up, but not on our side. And we've had issues where people from the park come over, they've been, while I'm sitting on my dock, they'll come over with their poles, want to go fishing, and I have to tell them, this is private property. Can you please go back to the beach? And then there's issues in the evening. I know the cops have helped a lot. But in the evening, like I noticed Sunday, the police officers left at 8 o'clock. But there were still people left at the park, and that's when it gets worse, like rowdier at night. And I understand it's open until dusk, but I was wondering if something could be done with that, like maybe have the officer stay a little later, and make sure everybody's out. And I understand people are gonna come, I've lived out there for 30 years and it just hasn't been that bad, and it's definitely gotten worse. But I will say the cops have helped, the signs, all that. But so my issue was basically the fence on our side. I think it would help with the people. Some of them I don't think are really reading the signs. They don't care. And if they want to do something, they're going to do it. So maybe the fence on my side would help. And then see where we're at with that.
Your comment period at this point, not our response at this point. So we'll take this obviously under advisement
Okay.
with our Parks and Rec department going forward.
Great. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Do we have any additional comments before we proceed with the meeting? All right, we will close the discussion and move to abstracts.
Move adoption of resolution approving abstract number 23 of 2026 dated 6/10/2026, abstract number 26 of 2026 dated 7/1/2026, abstract number 27 of 2026 dated 7/8/2026, and abstract 28 dated 7/15/2026.
And I will second. Do we have board comments on any item on the abstracts?
Question. So we go from abstract 23 way back in June to abstract 26 in early July. What happened to 24 and 25, or why are we going back so far for this one?
Abstract 23 got left off of the board agenda
Okay, so we're just
by
making up
mistake,
for it.
and we're just making up for that. Yep.
Okay. And then also, I believe abstract number 29 dated 7/22 was distributed, but that's also not mentioned here. So are we not approving that one yet?
Due to the timing of the meeting and it being in so late, we wanted to make sure that the board got a chance to review it before they voted on it.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have any additional comments on this? The Councilor Pardee, as we know, will not be voting on abstracts, anything that pertains to National Grid. So that is a standard thing with him, and we appreciate that. Do we have any other additional discussion on the abstracts? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Nay, abstention would be passing. Thank you very much.
Public hearing.
I'm going to move at this point to waive the reading of the legal notice. It's a public hearing to consider the following proposed local law regarding temporary moratorium, prohibiting any zone change or special permit applications related to the establishment of large-scale data centers. Public hearing to consider the following proposed local law regarding temporary moratorium, prohibiting any zone changes or special permit applications related to the establishment of large-scale data centers. So I'm going to, at this point, I have moved to waive the reading of the legal notice, which was publicized and posted at the proper time. Do I have a second to waive the reading?
Second.
Okay, all in favor of waiving the reading?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. We are going to now open the public hearing at 6:17 p.m. We'd like to know if anybody would like to speak for or against the proposed data center moratorium. At this time, please come up, state your name and your address.
Mike Boyle, Hebrides Trail. Again, building on what I just said, a couple things. I'm totally against the moratorium. It's going to put us behind the eight ball. My experience has been multiple countries I've traveled through, dealt with it, Bangalore, India, Shanghai, China. These countries are building data centers like there's no tomorrow. Okay, power plants to build them, coal-driven, the whole 9 yards. There's so many companies that have moved their data centers from Dallas, Texas to Bangalore, India. I've been to Bangalore many, many times, watched Anheuser-Busch. Their data center was moved from Dallas, Texas to Bangalore, India. They're bringing them back now because the pipes don't work from all the way from India. The fiber optic cables that go under the sea, that go under, back onto Europe, and Europe over to Virginia, and Virginia back to St. Louis. Doesn't work, okay? That's why they want to build data centers locally. If we don't jump on this bandwagon, in 18 months, the world's going to change. Everybody in this room uses a data center every single day. It's right here. This connects to a data center. Every one of the apps on here connects to a data center, and not the same data center. The apps have an IP address that goes to wherever that app is being resided in the cloud. Micron is a perfect example. They're going to have a penta warehouse sitting down there, petabyte on clay. That petabyte warehouse is the same as what they have at Finger Lakes Technology Group, which owns the Seneca Army Depot, and they turn those former nuclear bunkers into data centers. The company I work for, we got our backup data center located there. So there's data centers all over the place here today. Micron, for example, is going to make computer chips that go into servers that are put into data centers. And if this moratorium is extended, by the time they open, they won't be able to have one of their chips in a server that is placed in New York State. I mean, that's what they do. They make chips to drive the AI economy. AI is nothing to be scared of. I know you read the news and everything. It's not. But on petabyte data sets, AI is the only thing that can parse through the data. Now, everybody has to understand there's different sizes of data centers. There's small, medium, large, and hyperscale. Okay, this says large, but it didn't say hyperscale. So technically a hyperscale could come in here. Now, the other question is size, scope, amount of servers. Small data centers have 0 to 100 servers. Some companies like to have their data in their own business. They don't want to put it in the cloud. Other companies like to share their data on a server. They use virtual servers to set up. That's more of a mid-size, 100 to 2,000 servers. Then you get into the large data centers that run about 2,000 server to 5,000 servers, and then you have the hyperscale servers. Amazon, as an example, has a hyperscale center right over there in Liverpool. They have 436 hyperscale data centers globally, Amazon does. The question is why? Latency. They want to be able to respond to the request that comes into the data center very, very quickly. When you're 4,000 miles away, it takes a little bit of time. When you're a mile away, it takes pretty quick time. So that's one of the reasons why they want to set up these additional data centers. Then the other question is cooling. Everyone talks about water. Water is only one way to cool a data center. There's 5 different ways. The question is cost. They love to talk about using a lot of water because it's cheap. But if you're going to put up a hyperscale data center, most of the companies want to build their own power supply. Just like over at Hancock Field, the Sage data center that was there for the NORAD Defense Command Center is sitting right empty over at Hancock Field. That's where they had the Northeast Command Center. That has 10-foot thick concrete walls and can take a 1 megaton blast from a nuclear missile. But this I want to give you because this is it shows you a little bit about cooling the data center, which everybody usually is concerned about with the water uses and sustainability. By the way, in upstate New York, you could put fans in these data centers from October till April, open the window. Show you this.
Thank you.
And that's just a rough overview, but that'll give you an education very quickly on the different types of rubber. You don't want one that's more for the right side. And lastly, a couple other things. Around this area, we have a very unique capability with the power generation and everything else. If you're going to let a larger or hyperscale data center come into Syracuse, New York, into Cicero, they will put the power generation in themselves. And there's a dual use you could do with it as well that other communities have put in place. The power center, like for Facebook, they have their own power. Amazon has their own power. Why? Because they don't want to rely on the grid. But they also want to plug into it because if their power generation goes down, they have to keep these data centers up. At the same time, if the grid goes down and their power is up, have it so that they can put money or put energy back into the grid. So there's a dual use there. Okay. I'm more than willing to sit down 2 hours of your time as a board. I can more than happy to educate you backwards and forwards on data centers. The state's going to spend the next 18 months paying Accenture or somebody else to develop a $50 million sustainable data center plan. And by that time, in 18 months, you're going to be so far behind the 8 ball that data centers are going to be looking to go somewhere else. And lastly, all these data centers sell subscriptions. When a company decides to put their infrastructure into a data center as opposed to having it locally in the 4 walls of their business, they pay for the space that they use in that data center, which is a subscription, monthly, yearly, 3-year lease, whatever it is. Think of this concept that the town board could put in a requirement that they're not going to charge, or the county or in the state, property taxes. We want to cut of the subscription, 1%, as opposed to the property tax for them to come in. As their company, that data center grows, so does the revenue for the town. And I'll end on that.
Thank you. Do we have any other comments in this public hearing? Okay, I'm going to end the public hearing at 6:24 p.m. Do I have a motion to close the hearing? I'm closing the hearing. I'm sorry. I'm closing the hearing. Excuse me.
Should we be closing this hearing? We've only heard from one, and it's great information, appreciate it. We've only heard from one resident. Should we hold this to our next meeting?
I don't think so. I
Just
mean,
offering the question.
we gave everybody the opportunity and we publicized this, and it's something that people have been very aware of. I mean, we're going to have to vote on that one way or other, whether it's now or the next meeting. I think that we've given an adequate run for people to express their opinions, and we got a very succinct one and a very good one from Mr. Boyle.
So are we in discussion now then? Can I?
Not of we're of closing the hearing, basically, so we're in discussion.
Because
of
I'd
that.
like to also hold the hearing open. So I don't know, do I need to make a motion to continue the hearing? Or how does that work?
Just keep it open.
Adjourn it to a date and time certain. So you'd adjourn it to whatever date you want to
Keep it open until.
So can I make a motion to adjourn this to
I'm in agreement.
August 22nd, or when's the next?
Sixth,
20th?
I believe.
26th to continue the hearing?
You want to make a motion? Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion on this to keep it open or not, or?
Yeah, I mean,
How
I
you
guess
guys feel?
to put something behind my train of thought, I think there's a lot more here to consider. I would like to talk to some more experts about this. I think there's pros and cons, and I don't know that the cons or the pros necessarily outweigh each other yet. The state's already got something in place, so rather than us locking us down now, you know, I'd like to keep this open a little longer. It gives the public more of an opportunity, and also gives us more of an opportunity to dig in a little more and take advantage of opportunities to learn more.
I was going to read this when we got into the actual voting of it, but I'll do it now since we've opened discussion. I'd like to address the issue of data centers being built in Cicero. We are here today to gather public input and make a decision on if we are going to disallow data center construction for 1 year, as numerous other towns and villages have done. That having been said, we should understand that this is a temporary action, not a permanent ban. The moratorium will give our board time to analyze the benefits and potential downsides of these facilities being built within our borders. At this point in time, we as a board do not have enough information to analyze and predict the long-term effects of data centers, both negatively and positively. Questions such as, what kind of revenue can we expect? How much electricity and water will be required to run it? How many permanent jobs will it create? These and many more questions need to be answered before we allow data centers to be built here. This moratorium will give us time to read and research reports from the state and county before we proceed. And as for the fact that New York State has imposed its own data center ban, past history has demonstrated that the winds of change in Albany can blow both ways. We need an extra level of protection under our control to make sure the residents of our town are protected. And that is my statement that I will close. So we have any other conversation on this of postponing this, or?
I mean, I understand like some of the questions that you just raised, and you're asking about the cooling process of it. And we're not going to know that answer. We're not going to be able to provide that answer unless we know the size of the data center. So a lot of the information that you stated, I don't care how educated we are or how educated we get, even if we use Mr. Boyle and get all the information from him, we're never going to be able to get that information until we know exactly what type of data center is being presented to us, because the size of it is going to determine the power resource it needs and also the cooling capacity. And I also look at this in a positive manner. Data centers are expensive. When it comes to taxes, yeah, you won't get the taxes up front, but it's not just about today, it's about long-term future for this town. And when the tax breaks go away, they have to start paying the full tax on that business, that data center to the town of Cicero, which is beneficial to the town. And then as Mr. Boyle brought up, we can also potentially gain revenue from the customers that come into that potentially. We'd have to look into that. We'd have to rely on our attorney to see if he can speak to that. But I also look at it this way: is there's a moratorium already set by the state. The state doesn't move fast. Will the state make their change? We know we're good to November because we have an election. And I hate to bring that up and do that, but nothing's going to happen until after the election. So we have time to actually work with people. And by not setting the moratorium, if there's a significant benefit for the town, we have that option to be the number one there, because we don't have a moratorium set. But we also spent tens of thousands of dollars on a comprehensive plan to lay out the town of Cicero on where these particular moratoriums, or where these particular data centers, and how we want the town laid out. So we already have that structure in place, that we've already kind of got a step on it. But if it's a burden to the town, would we rather have it as a neighbor, or would we rather have it in our town and share the burden with our neighbor, but also capitalize on it? So, I mean, Micron's bringing in the power. They're going to have the water source already there right next to Clay. Would you rather have them put it just over our border there, or would you rather have it right on the edge and utilize that? And the town of Cicero benefits from it, which that large tax revenue could assist us in not raising taxes for our residents. So that's
I
where I
was-
stand.
I apologize. Mr. Boyle, I appreciate this. If you stay the whole time, I'd appreciate if we could get together and I'd like to learn more. This is not a part of my expertise. That's why I was hoping more people would speak up tonight, right? Unfortunate that it wasn't, so that's why I believe we need to keep it open. I fully agree with everything that both counselors have stated. There's definite positives and then there's negatives, but I want to learn about that more. So I do appreciate you coming tonight. And if you'd be kind, I would like to take you up on that offer to learn more. So that's basically what I wanted to point out about that.
2 hours.
It was 3 minutes and I got it taught. It was great. Yeah.
Okay, any additional comments on postponing or keeping the hearing open till August 26th? Do we have any additional discussion on this? We will be voting on this. So all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Me. And abstain? It will be moved to the 26th, and we close discussion on this at this point.
You have my number, I think, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd also be interested in talking to you as well.
Thank you. Move for the adoption of a resolution to approve and authorize the supervisor to execute the cable television franchise agreement between Spectrum Northeast LLC and indirect subsidiary of Charter Communications, Inc. and the town of Cicero as follows.
Okay, I would like to move to waive the reading of the legal notice, which has been posted and advertised at the proper time. All in.
So moved.
So moved. Discussion. Approved. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Okay, I'm going to open this public hearing now at 6:32 PM. Would anyone like to speak for or against this particular motion? Okay. Any additional comments from the board on the public hearing? Because if not, I will close the public hearing at 6:33 PM. And we get we've closed the hearing, so now we're going to move on to the actual motion
Okay.
for the adoption of a resolution to approve
The one I just read
as follows. So stated as follows.
as follows. Where are you at? That's what I just read.
Okay, so there we go. All right, so you'd be reading an application in the matter of, right, in the matter of granting a cable friend.
I think. Sure. No? Yeah. the Hearing was.
Okay. Now therefore, the Board of the Town of Cicero find that Spectrum Northeast LLC has substantially complied with the material terms and conditions in existing franchise and with applicable law, and two, Spectrum Northeast LLC has the financial, legal, and technical ability to provide these services, facilities, and equipment as set forth in its proposal attached, and three, Spectrum Northeast LLC can reasonably meet the future cable-related community needs and interest, taking the account the cost of meeting such needs and interest. Be it therefore resolved that the Board of the Town of Cicero hereby grant the cable television franchise of Spectrum Northeast LLC in the Town of Cicero for 15 years commencing with the date of approved by the Public Service Commission and expiring 15 years hence. Be it further resolved that the Board of the Town of Cicero hereby confirms acceptance of this franchise renewal agreement.
Second.
Board discussion on this issue? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion is carried.
Set a public hearing to consider a planned unit development for property located at Brewerton Road and Meltzer Court, Cicero Community Campus, tax map number 092.01-03.5. TR owner, LLC proposed multi-residential apartments, The Roman. Move for adoption resolution calling the public hearing to be held on August 26th, 2026 at 6 p.m. at Cicero Town Hall, 8236 Brewerton Road, Cicero, New York, to consider the application of TR Owner LLC for a planned unit development PUD located at Brewerton Road and Meltzer Court within the Cicero Community Commons PUD tax map number 092.1-03.5. The proposed project involves the development of an apartment complex considering a 74-unit apartment building and associated clubhouse.
I will move second. Board comments on this particular PUD?
Where's the planning board stand on this? Has it been approved by the planning board yet, or is it still? Okay, yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Still early on, yeah.
I know, given some of the recent, occurrences with the fires and stuff like that, I know there's some water issues pressure wise. And then also the chief has expressed to me about some protection within these buildings that he would like to address that. I think that might not be a bad idea. Okay.
Additional comments? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion is carried. Move to adopt the resolution accepting the donation of one Craftsman 2500W inverter generator valued at $650 from Cicero Lowe's to the Cicero Police Department. Do I have a
Second.
Thank you. Board comments to accept this? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is adopted. Okay, so now we're going to move to a discussion of our fire hydrant and water pressure situation. The Cicero Fire Department, we're going to have a nice PowerPoint presentation so we can discuss this. It's been relevant to all of us. Just take the microphone with you.
There you go.
Can hear you.
One, it works. I don't think I need it, but okay. So first I want to say thanks for letting me speak tonight on this. I talked to the supervisor Saturday at our town meeting, or our town chiefs meeting, and I thought it was important that we talk about this sooner than later, and I didn't want to postpone this out to August. So I really asked them to make sure I could get on into this meeting. So I want to talk about something that happened on July 4th on the Sneller Road and open up lines of discussions with the town board, planning board, and codes to look at installing hydrants on Sneller Road. So Saturday, July 4th, if you want to go back one there, Trace. Sorry. That's all right. So as you can see, Saturday, July 4th, 2026, we got dispatched at 11:08 for a residential fire on Sneller Road. Unfortunately, this home was a total loss. And there's on this whole 2-mile stretch, and we'll talk about this throughout the presentation, there's absolutely no fire hydrants. So you can go to the next slide. So the current situation that happened that day, upon our arrival, we had a heavy fire in the garage spreading into the house. It was communicated all the residents were out and accounted for. We have a pre-planned box, and what this is we plan our dispatch and our mutual aid departments coming to help us in certain areas of the town. On this one, with no hydrants, we have what we call a tanker box set up, where the Oswego County departments bring in a porta pond. And when I say porta pond, it's a big square rubber pond that they just throw water into, and we use that as a hydrant. So with our pre-planned road, we knew we had water supply issues on this road due to no hydrants. The first Cicero chief on arrival automatically started the tanker box, which brings in 7 tanker apparatus from Oswego County. If you want to know what a tanker apparatus is, if you see our engines carry all sorts of equipment, ladders, everything we need. Tankers are they bring water. All they do is they bring water. Okay. Our first 2 engines upon arrival deployed our hose lines using their respective tank waters to extinguish and contain the fire as much as possible until the water supply was established. By the time water was established to these porta ponds and 4,000 feet of supply line, it was deployed and transferred and emptied water into the 5 additional engines to the supply water to the front 2. It took 30 minutes before we got the porta pond ready and going. Can you switch to the next slide? Currently, our engines carry 1,200 feet of supply line, and I know some of you won't understand what I'm saying when I say some of these numbers. but a supply line is a 4-inch round diameter rubber hose, 100 feet long. Each section weighs about 100 pounds. We deployed over 5,000 feet of this to get to this house. Okay. This required 3 to 4 engines. So as we deployed it to over 4,000 feet of this hose line, we also had to place 3 additional engines in between it to pump to get the pressure up to the front line engine. With such a long hose lay and the ability to maintain adequate water pressure needed for the hand lines and the aerial devices. So as I said, we put these 3 engines in there. We also were running 2 aerials, which are aerials, if you don't know what it is a ladder truck. So we were running these aerials to supply water into this heavy fire. Our engines carry 5 to 1,000 gallons of water. We pump 180 gallons a minute. So do the quick math. You got 1,000 gallons of water. We're deploying it at 180 gallons a minute. That tank empties, that truck empties within 5 minutes. If we don't have a hydrant connected in 5 minutes, we're out of water. Okay, so we needed a tanker operation with porta ponds. It took a half hour for the Oswego County departments to get to us. I just said our trucks run out in 5 minutes. That's 25 minutes we would have been without water. We had to continue to bring additional engines in to keep supplying water to the frontline engines. That's a picture of the porta pond. You can go to the next one. Sneller Road, and this is what I'm here for, to talk about this. It's a 2-mile stretch of road, northern part of our district. Currently has 9 residential homes, 2 horse farms, and 3 businesses. Currently, there are only 2 hydrants, one at the each end of the road. One on the corner of Party and Sneller. The other one is about 900 feet in off Mud Mill Road, buried in the woods. Okay. The house that caught fire on July 4th was 1 mile from each hydrant. Okay. This is the only road in our fire district response area that has no hydrants. Okay. We are set up, our equipment is bought and purchased and set up to use hydrants. We have to rely on Oswego County to come in to help us supply water to this road. Switch. These are some pictures currently. The one on the right is the hydrant at the end of Sneller Road in Mud Mill. You can't see it. If you look at the picture below, it's in those weeds buried about 15 feet off the road. We didn't even know it was there. Myself and Councilor Party were there. I'm looking at it on my phone. I'm like, Jamie, it says we're staring right at it. We literally had to go into the woods to find this hydrant, and that's why we couldn't use it that night. And we ended up taking the hydrant on Mud Mill, which is about a quarter of a mile past that. And when we pumped into that to fill the tankers, we broke the main in 2 different places. Okay. The additional hydrant that we didn't use, there is one on Terex Drive. That business had to put their own in when they built the buildings. They weren't there until they built their businesses. Go to the next one. This is a overview. If you look to the far right, that's Mud Mill Road. If you look down here to the left, that's Party and Sneller. If you look, you can see in the white, it says location of the fire. That's where the house was that caught on fire. It's a mile from each end, okay? It's tough to see, but these red dots up here, the one on the bottom, that's the hydrant we brought in and laid 4,000 feet of hose line. The other hydrant that the tankers use is way up there in the right-hand corner on Mud Mill, okay? That was our water supply for that house that night. You can see down here in the bottom right, I'm sorry if you can go back, Trace. Bottom right with the yellow wording, that was a hydrant we couldn't find because it's buried in the woods. Okay. You can go to the next slide. So our normal structure fires with hydrants, usually we rely on 4 to 5 fire departments, right? Us and 4 additional mutual aid departments. Structure fire in Sneller Road, we have 13 to 15 fire departments coming. Okay. The problem with that is 7 to 10 additional fire departments to provide adequate water supply. But we're taking these departments away from their communities. We're taking 13 fire departments away from their towns to protect their home because we don't have water supply on this road. Okay. Longer fire suppression time for this type of response. Like I mentioned, we're calling in and utilizing fire apparatus from 13 to 15 different towns, and those towns are still left unprotected while they're working with us. And for this one, the duration of this call was 4 hours. You can go to the next slide, Trace. So the reason I'm here with this and asking for, we start to look into putting hydrants on this road is we have a lot of safety concerns, okay? Delay in water supply. Fire multiplies in seconds. As I mentioned, it took 30 minutes to get the Oswego County departments there. 30 minutes. In seconds, fire keeps multiplying. Well, how many seconds are in 30 minutes? Quite a few, okay? Extended hydrant lays slow down the time it takes to get water supply to the hand lines at the structure. Water shortage allows fire to go quicker, as I mentioned. Limited water affects fire suppression tactics. And if you've been reading the news, that really hampered us on Monday as well. And then limited water could affect survivability of victims and firefighter safety during a rescue operation. And then picking up 4,000 feet of supply line after you've been working a fire for 3 hours is not a lot of fun either. Go to the next slide. Infrastructure. We already have water lines in place at each end of this road. And I was looking at the water maps. It's a 12-inch main going up Party Road. It's a 12-inch main going up Mud Mill Road. Off of Mud Mill Road, the hydrant that comes down Sneller Road for probably about 600 feet is running on an 8-inch main, and then it just stops. So from there all the way down to Party Road, there's absolutely no water. There's no water line. It doesn't make sense that we're not connecting this to provide water protection to that area. I could understand if we are living in the north or up in the north or wherever it is where you don't have this infrastructure and you can't put them in. That's what these guys practice for. That's why they buy this equipment, because they don't have the infrastructure. We have it and we're not utilizing it. McKinley Road has hydrants. McKinley Road runs parallel with Sneller Road. It connects both the Party and Mud Mill. Why was Sneller Road not connected? Why can't we connect Sneller Road just like McKinley? And what do we need to do to connect these lines? Go next one. Yes, about a financial breakdown. Hydrant installs, from talking with Chief Brennan in North Syracuse when they put one in last year, and talking with the chief in Fayetteville who's been installing some. They're about $15,000 per hydrant. Hydrants need to be about every 500 feet in residential areas. So that means to connect those two lines and install hydrants at every 500 feet will require 14 hydrants to be installed. Right? So if you do that math, 15,000 at 14 hydrants is $210 for a total cost for the hydrants. What that doesn't include is what Aqua would charge you to install the water line. Been trying to get that information, in contact with them. They have not returned my calls recently. And then if we don't install hydrants, another option is to give the fire department $555,000 additional dollars every year, or in the budget, to buy a tanker, a porta pond, and 10 feet hard suction hose. And that would need to be replaced every 15 years. So you can see the math. If I got to spend $555,000 every 15 years, or we can just spend $210,000 one time. And as I was looking at the water maps, there's already a water district set up in that area. There's a Sneller Road water district already set up and established. So all we need to do is connect those lines. So you can go to the next slide, please. There it is. Need 14 hydrants installed. Hydrants installed no further than 500 feet apart. Need to stay within the 500 feet. The reason for that is to sustain the water pressure that is required to keep these, to supply the engines. Next slide. And I'd like to, as I mentioned, I'm here and push for it to be here instead of next week, or next month, is I feel we need to act now. Safety can't be compromised because of finances, right? We cannot wait for possible future development to happen. We met with Aqua a few years ago on some things that was brought up, and we were told, well, hold on, because there's future development coming. We can't wait any longer. Why do we got to keep waiting? Now we had a catastrophe. How many more catastrophes do we have to have? Because sometimes development's coming. We can't wait to allow another tragedy like this to happen. Size of fire multiplies in seconds, as I mentioned. We cannot have water delays, water supply delays. We had water supply delays on Monday night over at Cobblestone, and it totally affects our operations and our tactics. Right? We couldn't supply our two aerials there to douse that fire quicker than we could, because once we connected to that hydrant and started applying it and opened it up, we didn't have enough pressure to come through our engines. Same thing happens here. And I talked to the guys in the Oswego County that come and fill the porta pond. They can give us roughly 500 gallons
500 gallons is less than half of what a hydrant gives me. Okay? So you can just tell how fast we're going through that pond. Especially if you've been up and down Sneller Road, there's some pretty big houses at the front end of that one end. So what I'm asking for is that you help us and let's get this started, get these conversations going, and let's see what we can do to get hydrants installed there quicker than later. And this kind of takes there's kind of now an added feature after Monday night. And I don't want this to come across as Cicero's the only one's got problems, because we're not. Chief Brennan's here. He could talk if you want him to, but this is a town-wide issue. He's got some streets in their district doesn't have hydrants. We got ours. South Bay put loco in. They had water problems when that went in. Water is a major problem here for us for firefighting operations, and we got to come together. We got to work together. We got to get Aqua in here. We got to figure out our issues, and we can't hold back because of finances. We got to find this. I talked with Fayetteville Chief. They budget every single year as a village to install 2 to 3 hydrants every single year somewhere in their village. They budget that now. Maybe that's something we could do down the road too. But we got to look at our areas that need water and we need to get it there quicker than later. Okay. The apartment complex over on Ferguson Island Road has 1 hydrant protecting that whole area. The other night we found we had 2 hydrants protecting 5 buildings in Cobblestone. This isn't good enough. This is us. This is us protecting our community. We don't have the infrastructure. We don't have the water supply to do it. Right? We can't keep finding this out when we have a fire. We got to start acting now. We got to get with Aqua. Let's pull the maps up. Let's work with them. Let's get them to start working with us, and let's start changing this. Thanks for the time.
Yeah, I have just one question. Looking at the numbers of the hydrants that you estimate that we need to take care of this problem in Sneller, is that what we have in the town itself everywhere? Do we have that 1 every 500? Every housing tract is 500 feet, so you're asking for the same kind of.
Maybe you don't. Maybe you install the whole line and you measure out every 500 feet and you surround them around the housing tract now. But they gotta be those 500 feet, so when you install them down the road, they're still in those 500 feet line. So that could be an option that we all work together and figure out exactly where they gotta go install. Or the other option, if you do put the line, if we get the line in, you put them all in one. Things will come up different way. I'm just asking, we gotta move forward. We gotta go.
Yeah.
Can't keep hoping, my concern infrastructure wise with Micron coming and they're projecting all this big businesses and building in this community. We're fighting hydrant issues constantly. We can't keep finding them when we have an emergency. We gotta get ahead of it, especially if you guys are gonna continue, these data centers, how much water are they gonna drop? So,
Yeah.
If it's okay, I had a couple things.
Right ahead.
So,
You know the answers.
yeah, I do. So Chief Brennan, who's in the back, I mean, in your district, I don't know what's the areas that are missing. I think first of all, we get information from all from all over the town. What are the areas that are missing and how many hydrants are needed? So I feel like that's number one, right? So that's the first thing. I remember I brought up a couple weeks ago, Bernard, I would like to know, we pay Aqua every year an exorbitant amount of money to make sure that these hydrants are running properly. I think the board needs to know what hydrants are they're supposed to all. I want a list that says that documentation says they're doing it, right? So that's the second piece. Third one is Counselor Party, you called it in, appreciate the fact that you were there, right? 2 of us were there. We witnessed it firsthand. Yes, this needs to be done. So to Robert, our attorney, I think we need to start, if the rest of the board, if we have a majority, I think we need to start moving this forward, right? And I feel like the motion's fairly easy, I feel like, to do. So
The fire departments are willing to help you guys.
Yeah.
We can all get together. We can put our list together that we know where our areas that need hydrants. I mean, we discuss this all the time. Myself and Chief Brennan have been discussing this for years. We've been working on we've been trying to contact Aqua all week. I don't know if they're kind of upset with me because of what happened Monday. And I said I didn't have enough water pressure and they're telling me I did, but we didn't. So when I got any chief on the scene, you can tell you, we didn't have close enough water pressure for that fire. So
I know the supervisor met with Aqua a couple weeks ago, so he probably has good connections there. That list though, I want that list of the areas that we all, because I think you're right. I think we do need to start budgeting for this, just little by little, right? Does it need to be all 14? I'd love to see all 14 put in, but maybe we could put in some there, some in that North Syracuse area to at least kind of fix things as we go a little bit better than just addressing one area as a whole. But maybe we do that. But I want that list. This needs to get going because we were there. That hydrant we did hook into was also a hydrant that supplied that farmers' fields, right? So it's taking water off the top from us right there, right? So that was just a terrible situation that evening. And thank God there was nobody that was hurt, right? That's
I will take on the responsibility. I'll get with all the fire chiefs. We'll get that list for you. And we can work on, I got emails into the director of Aqua today. Hopefully he'll respond back to us. We'll see if we can set up a meeting. We get all of us involved and everybody at the table together and go from there. But yeah, hopefully you guys can come together, talk and get the commitment and let's move forward and, really hit the parts that need them immediately. And then, like you said, maybe down the road, we keep budgeting 3 or 4 every single year, whatever it might be. But yeah, I'll work with the other chiefs. We'll get you a list and then, hopefully if Aqua can't get back to us, then we may need some help here or even from, Mr. Burtis and see if he could help us set this up. So they've been open with us before. Like I said, they were called out Monday night. So, they offered their comments. So.
And I know Micron started to jump in. I know Micron asked us for a wish list. I feel like this would be something that they would be behind, right? I can't speak for them, but yeah. It just, again, if the board is, I know everyone's gonna have the opportunity to talk, but I just want to make sure that we leave this conversation with something in hand saying like, Robert, we'd like you to start making a resolution to get this moving forward.
You can certainly make a resolution to get it moving forward. It's a budgeting issue. It's something that, to reserve budgeting for the future, if it's an expense of putting it in. The issue in terms of, the line itself is only a 6-inch line, which is a problem. Right. Because even if you hooked four things into it, and, even if you had 4 hydrants, you're still only dealing with a 6-inch line. So, that's something you got to think about too. And that's obviously a larger expense, but that's something to think about. But these are budgeting issues that the town can consider for the future.
Bernard, can you run just some numbers? I mean, obviously not tonight, but run some numbers for us to see where we could pull money from to at least do. Chief, in all honesty here, what number would be, okay, we can work with that.
So, I'd have to really map that street out every 500 feet and then say, okay, here, and here, we can make it to there. I might tell you, even putting hydrogen in front of those 4 big houses, we're probably still going to be, well, if they're right in front, we'd have enough. The one where they are now, we can't make it to their houses up their driveways. They sit so far back off the road. That's another battle we got on that road, and that's nothing you're going to fix. That's just the homeowner decided to build their house that big, that far off the road. But I guess the best answer I guess I could give you is let's map that road out, do it every 500 feet and then say, okay, they definitely got to go here. And then down the road, you can put them here because there's farmland from that house to the end of the road. You probably don't have to install 2 or 3 in that area, and you may not have to have a couple going that other direction. But I think you're probably going to look minimum 8 to 10.
Okay.
Just to cover those. I think there's 6 houses in the middle and then even get farther in off the end of the roads.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. So I'll get that information to you guys. I'll email it over to you.
And
Probably be sometime middle next week. Give them a couple days to go out in their districts and get it. Okay. Thank you.
And my input on this, as Councilor Bacala said, I called it in because it was across the street from my house. I called 911 and then it was important to get the people out. They were out, and when Barrett showed up, from the fire department, 2 residents entered the house again. So luckily they were able that they got out and no firemen had to go in, because with the amount of water that they had initially, this could have been really bad if they had to go in, and actually turn it into a rescue instead of, a firefight. So this could have been a lot worse in that particular situation. And when it comes to the safety of the town, I struggle with putting a dollar amount on that. It's important in the safety aspect of things. And then from my knowledge and background what I've, my past experiences, these water mains, I know they're designed to feed a certain GPM. And I know, Kate, I don't know if you could get with the water department to see where it stands. Cause I mean, all water mains get barnacles in it, and I know we've had trouble in Cicero years ago, and I'm trying to go way back when it had been 2000-ish somewhere in there. They were struggling with pressure issues, trying to raise, the water pressure. And I mean, we've had so much development in the town of Cicero, and every time we do a development, they're pulling water off. And these mains are only designed to float so many GPM per minute based on the size. And as we stated earlier, it's a 6-inch main. Is it really still a 6-inch main? Or do we have corrosion inside of it and it's down to a 4.5 or a 5-inch main? So if we're thinking it's, I'm just going to throw a hydrant number off the top of my head. Hydrant number 456 should flow 5,000 gallons a minute when it was designed. Will it flow that today? I think that's some of the stuff that we need to lean on the Aqua, to say, hey, where do you stand with your system? Because it also, when I look at it, future development within our town, how much more can that system handle? And we've been seeing a lot of main breaks too in the town. And I talked to a resident the 2 days after that, and they didn't have any water the whole next day because the water main was broke and it affected, them. So, and to the chief's point, when we pull in 7 tankers from other municipalities that, have invested their money to protect their residents, now their residents aren't protected because they're coming, to help protect us, on our behalf. So I think, there's a lot of things we need to look at with this. And I think looking at the GPM of the hydrants to see where they stand, today as Councilor Collar brought up, that we need some information. And I think with these particular things, I heard about the Monday night fire over there on Griffin. People didn't have enough water pressure to flush a toilet. And I think that's concerning. So I'm in support of, doing our research and seeing what we can do on this.
Yes. I mean, the infrastructure of how all this works is outside of my wheelhouse, so I don't know a lot about all of that. But fundamentally, it makes perfect sense to me that we need to make sure that the infrastructure is in place to protect our residents. And if we've got severe gaps in places, we need to analyze and look at how we can address that. Unfortunately, finances are a reality, so we probably will have to do this over time, but still to have a strategy in place and start picking away at this rather than just say, it's too big and going to cost too much. We need to definitely be moving forward in some direction as quickly as possible to start coming up. And, I don't want this to end up in some committee that takes 6 months to talk about what is it that we need to do. We need to take some quick action, especially in these key areas, and then at the same time be developing kind of the longer term plan of how do we supplement and prepare for the growth and all of that that's coming to Cicero.
Okay, I agree with everything that's been set up here. And again, I don't have the area of expertise also, but I do agree this is a problem. We have a problem with water pressure that we need to address with Aqua. We also have a problem of lack of hydrants that we need to address locally as well. So we have 2 distinct issues that we need to take care of. And it is that we're being tasked as a board to do so, and we will. Okay.
So is there any action today that we can take?
I would like an action.
Yeah,
right?
I'd like-
Over the years, this board, not saying this board,
Right.
but the board has taken things and just go, yeah, we'll do something about it. And there is no action. I want action of some kind. I don't know what that may be, but I think, I did, Chief Brennan, Chief Parenter to get us that information for the hydrants. So that's one. So but that's not our action, right?
Right.
We asked Bernard to, look into the Aqua, they need a report. We don't get that, to see what hydrants are doing what, to the point that Councilor Pardee said. But what action are we taking? We still have no action. I want us to have an action. Is it to make sure that during budget time, we talk about this? We have a resolution to add a new budget line item for hydrants. So I'm just talking, asking
Yeah.
questions. I do want some sort of action out of this.
I think we need to get some sort of response and some information from, the water department.
That as well.
On where they stand, and maybe we can, make it a discussion item for our next meeting. And we can see if we can get some of that information, then we can just discuss it in the next meeting, in August. And then,
Say that again, Robert.
Put it on the agenda for the next meeting as a discussion.
right,
It's going to be a budgeting issue.
we won't let it.
Okay.
Well, Chief Brad talking, I think one big thing we can do is get Aqua's engineering involved and your engineers exactly what the pressures are throughout this town. I know they're gonna tell us one thing and we can tell you that it's not true. Open them up, they sit in the room and tell you we got this much pressure going through it. Not happening.
Right.
But that's a good start to say, okay, then we all get to the table and say, okay, no, that's not true. We're finding issues here.
Can you get us some of the hydrants that like the specific ones that that are low pressure, and then we can get that to Kate?
Well,
Yeah, but,
guys,
yeah.
We asked
yeah,
Aqua's maintenance record, all we got was longitude and latitude where these hydrants were. They say they do we pay for it in their tax.
Right.
Yeah.
we want to know the flow.
Right.
I think that's another key you gotta find out is what are you doing on your maintenance part? Because I've seen them at businesses checking pressures. I haven't seen them in residential areas.
That goes back to the flow, what's today's flow versus when it was designed.
One thing I think we could request from Aqua, we'll get a cost estimate to connect Sneller Road. What is the actual cost? Because boy, if it was $220,000, that would be awesome, but I think it's going to be more. Gateway Park was 400,000 and now we're getting stuck with the wetland delineation. So I think the cost could be pretty high. So, but that can be our first step, is to get with the proper amount of hydrants and a main to connect it, what that costs.
I appreciate that, Kate. I do, but we can't call Cicero the best town to live in if we can't even supply water for public safety. That's where I stand on it. So the price is secondary for me. It's just rare for me to say, right?
Right.
It's not really the biggest item for me, right? So.
And now that you brought that up because that was another thing that was brought up on Saturday's meeting with the fire departments, the main going to the Gateway Park that was budgeted.
So that has been in hold because of New York State DEC. So we're working through that.
Okay.
Just went out for a cost estimate for the delineation, which I hope to present at the next board meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, we all have been tasked with individual things that we should get to work on immediately, and this discussion will continue at the next meeting. Hopefully we can, all input basically will come to all of us and will be disseminated to all of us, and a plan of attack will be forthcoming. Can all agree to that? All right, so we're going to close the discussion out for now, and it will be resumed again in 1 month. Okay. I would like to move for the adoption of a resolution to approve screen art graphics located at 136 Eureka Street, Syracuse, New York, 13204 for the production of recycle stickers, which are no longer being provided to the town of Cicero by Okra at the rate of $1.85 maximum per sticker, with the amount not to exceed $820 for 500 stickers. Budget code 080-8160. -4000-0000, the refuse fund contractual. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. Okay, we all know that they're not giving us the stickers. They didn't give us the bins. This is the world we live in, unfortunately, right now. And until this gets resolved, we have to put a Band-Aid on it, folks. They're not helping us, so we have to make sure our residents have the ability to get their recycling out. So, any other discussion? Calling for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion is adopted.
Move for the adoption of a resolution to approve the rental of a tub grinder July and November from Clifton Recycling County Contract to tub grind this year's brush accumulation in the amount not to exceed $35,000. Budget code 080-8160-4000-0000 brush and garbage fund contractual.
Second.
Discussion. No discussion. I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Move for the adoption of a resolution for Callan Industries, Inc. as the additional vendor, state contract number 23291 in the amount of $200,000, budget code 003-5112-4750-0000, capital paving contractual.
Second.
Okay, do we have a discussion or comments on this line?
Chris, I know I said I didn't have any questions earlier, but can you just explain this one to me?
Barrett, we have a lot of problem with Barrett. Sometimes our trucks will wait up there 2-3 hours between loads. And Killian is about $4.77 a ton cheaper. So,
Okay, so this is just giving us an alternative to go through. It's not adding another $200,000 to the budget or anything like, okay, all right, giving us choice. Got it.
Great. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion is adopted.
Move for the adoption of a resolution to approve Admar Construction Equipment State Contract Number PS 70900 in the amount of $15,000, budget code 003-5110-4400-0000, equipment rental.
Second.
Board comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion is carried.
Move for the adoption of resolution to hire Jim Bamonte, music teacher, at a rate of $35 an hour for the purchase of instructing music camp with a start date of, on, or around July 28th, 2026, budget code 002-720-0105-0000.
Program staff, town employee line. Do I have a second? I will second. Board comments? No comment?
Do we have any information on this individual?
It was sent to HR.
Okay. I've mentioned before when it comes to this stuff that we are the ones voting on this, making the decisions. And I'd like to see it, especially with, I hope you understand, with some of the things that have gone on in the most recent occurrences in school districts and other aspects, and especially when it comes to the children. I want to make sure that I have a chance to review the candidate.
He's a retired school teacher.
I don't know him. I don't know anything about him. And if I'm going to hire someone or put my name on someone, I would expect everyone within the town to do the same, to have some sort of knowledge on it.
Okay,
Shall we table this then?
I'd like to just continue discussion on this. That's Counselor's opinion. I know for a fact that when Parks and Rec vets these people, and they vet them also through HR, that it is a pretty extensive vetting process. And I do understand, Counselor Pardee, that you want to see those things in the future, and you probably want to see it right now, and I get that. I would like to propose that going forward, we make sure that you get a copy of all hires of anybody that's going to be dealing with children. And I think we should just move ahead and hire this person, because he has been vetted to the best of our ability, and that's my opinion on this.
I ask again, shall we table this?
I would agree to table this.
I mean, I'm not saying just when it comes to children, I'm saying in general, you know, we're making decisions, we're making hires. That I ask that of every department, you know. When the chief of police, when we just hired, 5 people, we had all the information on it. And this is something that's been asked, you know, in the past. And I'm going to take a stance on this.
This is going to put us back with planning and trying to get everything done for a program. So you don't have another meeting to the end of the month. We're trying to get things out.
We can set one, though.
Correct.
Yep.
And I don't have a problem setting one, but like I said, this is information that, you know, I feel to make a decision I need.
Okay, so there is a motion on the floor to table this to a future meeting. Do I have a second?
You don't need a motion for that, just table it.
Just, we're going to table?
Oh, you do?
We do need a motion to table this, so, any other discussion on this? All in favor of passing the motion of table?
I'll second.
Second, thank you, Chris. Tabling this, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I will say nay, and the motion is adopted.
Table to when, though?
At this point, we would have to table it until the next time we could schedule a meeting, which would be when we have availability of the town hall to do so. So we'd have to check with,
Right, so if the motion is to lay something on the table, you can do that, and then next time, when the board convenes, you make a motion to take up the question again.
If we decide to have schedule another meeting at our regular time that we opted out of in the early meeting, we could have a special meeting
We'll
then,
call a special meeting.
which I'm not against.
okay, well, then in that case, we have to work with the office to figure out which dates we could have a special hearing on this, or a special meeting on this, rather. And do we have anything available next week, perhaps?
Be the second week of August.
Or maybe in 2 weeks or
Wednesday, the 12th.
the 12th.
Yeah. But the 12th is open, isn't it? Yeah. 12th it is.
Okay, the 12th, I will not be here. Deputy will have to take over that meeting.
You cool with doing that?
Yeah,
Cool.
I'm fine with that.
12th it is.
Okay, so
Good.
I believe that we're taking a motion now to have a meeting on the 12th of August to take up the issue of the hiring of the music teacher
What time?
at 6 o'clock, right?
Yeah.
Would that
Yep.
work? 6 o'clock here. The Parks and Rec Department will, in the meantime, get information to all of the board members to be able to vet this person through us before we actually vote on him or her. Him, I'm sorry. Okay. All right. So the motion's on the floor. Any other discussion on this?
Second.
Okay, we got a second. I'm sorry. Additional discussion? And a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Abstentions, motion is adopted.
Move for the adoption of resolution to accept the award of 2026 Ice Alert Kit Grant in the amount of $1,375 funded through the PERMA Return of Member Equity Program. This grant supports workplace safety initiatives designed to reduce workers' compensation claims, minimize workplaces hazards, and improve overall safety outcomes. The Ice Alert Kit will be utilized during the winter season to help staff identify and respond to icy conditions, enhancing the safety of town employees as well as general public.
Second.
Any discussion on this? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion is adopted.
Bus maintenance, move for the adoption of resolution to move $4,700 from the $16,700 GOV deals auction proceeds and transfer it to account 001-6772-4300-0000, bus maintenance to cover additional repair expenses, including brake lines, air compressor lines from the air conditioning unit, which exceeded the amount budgeted for these repairs.
I will second.
So is this gov deal, so it's revenue that came in through this?
Revenue that came in, yes.
So is this more of an appropriating that revenue for this particular, so, okay.
Additional discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is adopted.
Move to adopt a resolution to rehire John Ketchum to replace Colin Debajan as part-time seasonal parks laborer. John will be at a pay rate of $18 an hour and start July 27th, 2026, budget code 001-7110-0105-0000, Parks and Recreational Laborers, part-time.
I will second. Any other board comments on this hire?
This is a rehire, right?
He originally worked for us. He did not rehire this year, but he has worked for us in the past. And since we are losing Colin to go to school, John was available.
Okay. Additional discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion is adopted. Move for the adoption of a resolution to accept the annual contribution from Friends of the Canteen. Whereas Friends of the Canteen has provided an annual contribution to the town of Cicero in the amount of $35,000 to support canteen programs and activities, and whereas the town board wishes to formally accept this contribution, now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Cicero hereby accepts the annual contribution from Friends of the Canteen in the amount of $35,000. Do I have a second?
Second.
Board discussion on this award?
Can we
Abusha?
specify what budget line this is going into? Or am I catching you?
So this is just part of the annual amount that we budget for the canteen. This is just to accept that amount.
Right, but there's a budget line, a revenue line, right?
Yeah, I don't recall the code off the top of my
I
head. but
apologize for,
okay.
All right.
Okay, well, thank you. Additional discussion on this? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is adopted.
Move for the adoption of a resolution to approve the following. Whereas the New York's NYSDEC MS4 general permit for stormwater discharges DP-0-24-001 requires comprehensive system mapping of all stormwater outfalls, interconnections, infrastructure, catch basins, pipes, ditches, culvert crossings, etc., and more for each MS4 municipality. And whereas the online map is hosted by the CNY RPDB, and whereas Barton and LeJudas has been contracted by the CNY RPDB to update the mapping to the extent available in their contract amount, and whereas the number of assets needed to be mapped in the town of Cicero exceeds the town's allotted share, therefore be it resolved to allow the supervisor to sign a proposal from Barton and LeJudas to complete the required MS4 mapping for the town of Cicero at a cost of $19,840, budget code 060-8540-4000-0000.
Second.
Okay, it is required apparently, so any more comments on this?
So my understanding is we're basically would have to go over budget to complete the work. Is it more than what was budgeted? Is that what this, or what was contracted, I guess? We were contracted.
We didn't do the contract. The Regional Planning Board did. They had gotten a grant. I mean, it's a massive undertaking.
Right.
And they were trying to figure out how to do it fairly. And because each municipality, regardless of their size, pays the same amount, everybody was given the same amount of things. So if we don't do it, we're not going to meet the requirements.
Yeah, no,
It just seems to be the best way.
so is this money already in this budget? Like we've budgeted for this additional expense?
Well, it's from the drainage budget, which can
Okay.
cover, it originally wasn't thought that we were going to be using it at the time we were talking about, but because of delays in some other projects, we have money there, and it was either going to be this year, next year, or another year, somehow figuring out how to meet this
Okay.
requirement.
So within the same budget line, basically, we're just using money for
Oh,
this that we
yes.
would have used that we didn't need to use for something else.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you. Additional discussion on this issue? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion is adopted. Move for the adoption of a resolution to extend the contract with Superior Waste Removal Incorporated under the same terms and conditions of the original contract for the first additional period allowed in the contract, and authorize the supervisor to execute any necessary documents, thereby extending the contract until December 31st, 2027. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion, please. Okay.
This is the last year on the extension, correct? Then
This
it's
is
got-
it, and it's at a very favorable rate based
Yeah.
on what we have seen, so we want to take
Yeah, I know.
advantage.
I totally understand with the extensions, because I mean, we all know everything goes up in costs, and we've had a very large inflation year. There are a few years since we've had this trash company working for us, so the extensions are more than likely cheaper, so.
Much cheaper from what
Yes.
we can say. All right, additional discussion on this? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is adopted.
Move for the adoption of a resolution that the town board approves and authorizes the town supervisor to sign an agreement with Kishmish for one-time refresh of the Town of Cicero website of $3,000, add ADA compliance support and ongoing maintenance for $150 per month paid annually, and replace the current website manager. Budget code 001-1680-4000-0000. Comptroller Labor Departmental.
Okay, I will ask for a motion on this. We have a motion to discuss this. Then I will second it. All right, any board comments on this? The Kishmish, I do have some comments myself. I've talked with Wayne Freeman about this. There has been discussion as to what we're going to do with our website, whether or not it's going ahead and getting a brand new web provider or trying to retool what we have. At this point, we're going to have, from what Wayne was telling me, we're going to have some major expenses with some hardware and software coming up to get us to where we need to be compliant, so on and so forth, which is going to require some money. So if we have like Civics Plus at $39,000 a year, which is a big number, we're still going to have to come up with those additional hardware and software things to get it going. So essentially, what we're looking to do is to use Kishmish to clean up what we have, make us ADA compliant, and to help people train them in WordPress to make it more efficient. This is a far cheaper way of doing it to get what we want for now. We'll probably have to address the website down the road, or this board will, but for now, this is the best practical use of our dollars from what Mr. Freeman was telling me, so.
So this is basically redesign or refresh of the website. This has nothing to do with hosting, it being available. It's not like if we don't do this right now, the website goes dark and it's gone. This is just, okay.
That is correct, but it does need some major work.
Oh, absolutely.
Work. So this is the best, hopefully best use of the money. So additional discussion on this?
Is there a deadline that we have to be ADA compliant?
I want to say it's the end of this year, but I'm not sure off the top of my head.
Can we find that out? I don't need it at the moment, but
Yeah, I'd like to table this to find out that information. And also, you know, if we're gonna spend $3,000 as a Band-Aid just to kind of make it compliant, knowing that we're gonna have to spend more money in a little bit to, you know, make the upgrades and the user-friendly and all of that kind of stuff that's really necessary, I'd rather see if we can take a little bit longer and do it all at once than put a patch on it and then do it again.
Okay, so we're going to table this to a
So I've made a motion. I don't
motion
know
to
if anybody
table
wants to
this.
second.
Okay, so do I have a second to table this motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, additional discussion on this to table it?
I'm all for looking into making our website more user-friendly and better for the town, you know, to serve our residents. So, you know, with technology today, I think there's some room for improvement, but I also believe we need to do it, you know, financially responsible.
Okay, so additional discussion on this.
It's a
So
question of
in tabling this,
if you're at point A and you're eventually going to go to point C, just go to point C. Don't even go to B.
right. Okay, all in favor of tabling this motion, say aye.
Aye.
I am opposed. The motion carries.
Town of Cicero BOCES intermunicipal agreement for the providing of technology services renewal. Move the adoption of resolution that the town board approves and authorizes the town supervisor to renew the intermunicipal agreement with BOCES for the providing of technology services through December 31st, 2026. Budget code 001-1680-4000-0000. Computer Labor Departmental.
Second.
Okay, board comments on this? Discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is adopted.
Move for the adoption of a resolution to approve and authorize the supervisor to execute the fireworks permit and waive non-for-profit the $100 permit fee, Town Code Chapter 109-1G from American Fireworks Display LLC to be held on August 28th, 2026 after the game. The sponsor of the show, Cicero Falcons Booster Club, all required signatures have been obtained.
I will second.
After the game.
Yes.
After the game, yes.
You wanna do it during?
During the game, there will be fireworks in the game, but these will be other ones. All right, do we have any additional discussion on this? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is adopted. Move for the adoption of a resolution to accept the State and Municipal Faculties Program, SAM, that Assemblyman Sturpey awarded to the town of Cicero for the reconstruction and repaving of the Cicero Town Hall parking lot, the amount of $125,000. Authorize the supervisor to execute any documents. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Discussion. We had approached the Assemblyman to help us out with some things, and he was able to find some money for us. It's been a discussion for quite some time now, and it's been approved, so he's going to help us to take care of the parking lot, so we're very,
So-
very thankful.
This was a budgeted item, correct?
Yes,
Get paved?
yes.
Okay. I just look at some of the other things that we discussed, that there's possibilities.
Well, we do have some additional money now because this will pay for it, so it certainly
Correct.
can address that. Absolutely. Additional discussion on this? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion is adopted. Too early. Okay. Any discussions from the board on anything? We've been yakking pretty good here tonight. Is there anything else we want to bring up before we end?
Yeah, I did have one thing. The town Facebook page. Who has access to the Facebook page? Who's the one posting?
We have Sue Ellen Burgess Thompson posts. You have access to it. Who else has access? I don't know exactly who. I know Sue Ellen does. I know Tony does. Those are the two that I know actively that do. Tracy, do you have any access on that as well? Okay, so it's at this point, those people.
Do you?
I don't. I believe I do have access, but I do not post.
Okay.
Okay. Any other discussion for today?
You mentioned you're not going to be here on the 12th.
That's correct.
I would just, as the deputy supervisor, when you are going to be absent, I would like a notice. So when I get a phone call to come in and sign some papers or whatever, and hear from other department heads in the town, that I'm aware, because I don't know of the vacations that you've taken without hearing from others. So it'd just be nice to give a heads up that
It was on
if
my
I
list.
may have to serve as a.
It was on my list for this week, so I'm sorry if I didn't get that quick enough, but I certainly will, you know that now, but I was going to do that actually tomorrow. I was hoping to do that. So, all right. Do we have any additional comments from?
Going back to the
Board-
Facebook thing real quick. So, Sue Ellen Burgess, you says, has the ability to post.
Yes.
Do you direct her to post, or does she just decide what to post on her own?
A little bit of both. A little bit of both. I task her with some things like putting pictures of the town, and so on and so forth. And we try to do things of that nature. And I will show her things that we've done in the town.
So in effect, you have access through her.
Through her. That is
Got it.
correct.
Okay.
That's correct. So,
May I ask why you bring that up?
I have been told that in previous boards that there have been a wider variety of town officials, elected officials that have the ability to also communicate with the public through the town Facebook page. So
It would be correct. So the previous supervisor said any board member who wanted access to it could have access to it. There was a day in January or February, I just lost mine. No one told me. Still haven't been told why. Didn't want to make a big deal about it. But either all elected officials, not board member, all elected officials should have access to including the departments, right? Should have access to the town Facebook page, or none, like none of the elected officials should have access to the town Facebook page. And I guess what is right to post on it? What is not right to post on it? Like that's possibly things the board should be looking at, right? I've received a lot of, complaints over the last couple months about what was on the page. It's items for us to discuss. Like, is this supposed to be informational only, right? Which I side on, or other things that you can make it. But it's something that I would like to look into further. So
Certainly.
Well-
It is, very much of it is informational, such as road closures and things of that nature, things that going on in the town, road paving and things. We've tried to have a wide variety of that, but we would certainly welcome any member of the board or the town who would like to get involved in posting on our Facebook page to certainly reach out, and we could try to get that taken care of immediately. So, any additional comments from the board?
I guess restoring, then if that's the comment you make, then I guess all of the elected officials should be given access to the town Facebook page.
Is that a motion or?
I can see that.
It's a question for,
Just a question, more of anything. Let's certainly move in that direction. I mean, right away. I mean, we can't open it up tomorrow. We could certainly move in that direction right away to get the access to everybody who wants it.
I just want to clarify that in my opinion, that the town's Facebook page should be strictly informational for the residents. At no point in time should any one of us or any elected official or anyone posting on that page use it for self-promotion or in any extent to that aspect. It should be strictly informational for the public. I just want to clarify that in case this expands.
Thank you. Any additional discussion from the board?
yeah, I have one more item. I just want to know the update for some of the town codes, like the ADU, where is that at?
So I emailed Colliers last week. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. They provided me a draft of, after the discussion between the working group for codes, the short-term rental law. I made comments on it and provided it back to them. And the rest of it is still just waiting. We're not getting much of a response lately.
Is there something, I mean, the reason why I wanted that is because there's tax breaks for public,
So I
right?
did discuss this with Colliers and the group, and I read the real property tax law that you provided me, and it looks like, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, that we don't necessarily have to have an ADU local law, but it seems like in-law accommodations would also allow that tax exemption. And I talked to Al about it. So what I've asked them to do is define that. We've always allowed that, but it's not defined in the code, and ask them to define that in the code to satisfy that, just to bolster being able to utilize that. Well, now I think the town board has to opt in, I think.
Correct, but
Yeah.
I wanted, we can include Robert on this conversation too. Do you think it's best advisable that we have an accessory dwelling unit, definition on the books before we would move forward with the property tax exemption?
I think it helps to define it.
Right.
Yeah.
Agree.
Yeah, so then can we?
So I did have conversations about Robert with it. And I think when I read that law too, it's something that was proposed in the draft you provided me, where was a detached structure. I don't think that's necessary, or maybe not even allowed under that section of real property law. I think it needs to be a relative.
It needs to be detached.
Yeah, and it needs to be a relative.
Yeah. Yep.
The concern is that they'd be rented out later, right? When we brought this up to, the codes group, or it would become something other if it were a detached structure, and some of it were ability to put a rather large detached structure, almost like, like 1,200 square feet, I think is what that proposed local law said. So there are concerns over that as well. So I'll push Colliers. I mean, it was just last week. Again, they've just been slow to respond.
That's not new.
Yeah. Is that, you brought that up way back in
February.
February.
Yep.
And here we are.
And
going
we're
into August.
getting to the point where it needs to be done before, again, I don't know the date, but I want it represented next year. And I don't know,
Yep.
we're getting close to the point where we need to get this going.
That was my very point in my email to them when it was actually a couple times recently. So we were supposed to get this wrapped up in a few months, and we're not there. I mean, a few months from when.
I would have circumvented the process, but I tried to do it properly.
Was that?
I would have just put it forward, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So government things get held up.
Yeah.
So
I'll follow up.
I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Now I'm done.
What other items do we have? We got something with the e-bike too that was presented that we had to look at that you're gonna?
We will be, yeah, I just, we sent that to Robert. Now we're going to send it to the board to look at it over again and to
Mhm.
decide on a couple of things on fines and so on and so forth. So that will be sent to you next week.
Okay. And you and I, Mr. Supervisor, we've had some discussion about the notification from the DOT for traffic. One for the advising the public. So when they're traveling back to and from work or wherever they may be going, and also for the safety of the public with our fire and EMS and police, that we haven't been getting the notification. We did get it a little bit. I don't know what happened there. I don't know if you were able to gather any information from the last conversation we had.
Reached out to them and they're telling me they're trying to be more vigilant. We've asked continually to make sure that we know about everything that's going to affect our EMS or our any of our transportation locally, and they've agreed to do it. And sometimes they fall short, but we're certainly always constantly calling them and constantly asking that they make sure they do it.
Okay. You just got to make sure it's clear to them that that's a concern, and especially with when our fire department and NAVAC are having a concern with it.
It is very clear, and we will continue to make it clear. Okay, do we have any other comments before we adjourn for this? Chris?
I got one thing. I don't know if it's anything that this board can take care of, but I've been watching the bridge over 31 from 80. Can you put the mic on? Sorry. And if you notice, the pillars holding this bridge up are very poor shape. I know they want to repair this bridge over the next 5 or 10 years, but this board ought to take a look at it real close and maybe get with New York State, because the re-rod is coming through and the cement is crumbling off of these pillars.
Yeah, they just repaired it not too long ago too.
Yeah, well, you should take a look at
Yeah.
it tonight on your way
Okay.
home.
I will.
It is very bad, and if that bridge comes down, it could be very
Yeah.
bad.
They're not
And-
afraid to
And bridges
repair
are-
it and
and bridges
replace
are
it.
Coming
as-
down all the time. I would
Yeah.
look at this and see what you can do with New York State. That's just my opinion.
I agree with you.
Thank you. All right, anything else? Okay, we're going to have the public input speakers right now, so why don't you come on up? Anybody has to address anything for 3 minutes about the agenda tonight?
Hi there. I was just curious
State your name, please,
my name's Alec.
and address where you live.
I live in Westcott, but I work for the Eagle.
Okay, thank you.
But I just wanted to ask you in regards to the meeting on August 26th that you're postponing, with the moratorium on data centers. Will residents have the opportunity to submit any written feedback if they can't make it to that meeting or this one today?
They could submit a letter and request us to meet or read it during the meeting, and we will,
Okay, thank you. And it should just be addressed to this building?
the board.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any additional comments? All right, thank you very much. I would like to make please come up. Sorry, didn't see your hand.
Short. Ryan Barling, 8487 Torchwood Lane. I've been a member of the Cicero Fire Department for a long time. I remember back when Mr. Diffin would actually go around and open flow the hydrants. When you talk hydrant pressure, its ability to flow, a lot of these pipes are full of stones. We actually had an incident over in Darby Farms where the stones went through our pump on the engine all the way up to the attack lines. This is something that Aqua should be doing, and I haven't seen it happen in years. Something for the board to look at.
Thank you. Additional comments from the audience? I see no other hands, so we're in pretty good shape. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion is adopted. 7:44 PM. Thank you very much for attending.
Talk to you later, Chris.